A very good morning to one and all present in today's webinar. To begin with, I request Dr. Shiv Kumar, Chairperson of Department of Library and Information Science, Panjab University, Chandigarh, to deliver the welcome address.
Okay, thank you, Simran. I am visible? I am audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, very good morning to you all. I welcome Professor Aditya Tripathi, Department of Lab Information Science, Banraras University. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome my colleagues, Professor Chakravarti, Dr. Khuspreet Singh Brad. I also welcome to this webinar research scholars, students, library professionals, all other participants. Topic of today's webinar is knowledge management and librarianship. I hope this webinar will be very beneficial to you all. Without taking much time, that is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Professor Rupak Chakravarti, coordinator of today's webinar, to introduce the resource person and topic of today's lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv. Thank you, Simran. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is indeed my pleasure and an honor, and I am also delighted to introduce today's resource person, Professor Aditya Tripathi. He is also former head BLIS BHU. I am delighted because as he is an alumnus of BHU, I am also alumnus of BHU. But he is also alumnus of Indian Statistical Institute, Bangalore, and University of Pune. He did his Bachelor of Science BSc Honours from BHU, with Chemistry Honours, Botany, Geology. Then he did BLIS from BHU. Then he pursued Associateship in Documentation and Information Science from DRTC, Documentation Research and Training Center, Indian Statistical Institute, Bangalore. And then Professor Tripathi completed his Doctor of Philosophy, doctorate degree PhD from the University of Pune. His area of specialization, and actually he is having more than almost 2 decades of teaching experience, and he has developed so many, you can say, information retrieval systems and digital library systems when he was at DRTC, then also and after that also. He has also worked with DSpace Greenstone. He has conducted several training programs on digitization and building digital repositories across India. And he has been a much sought after resource person and invited speaker across the country on digital library automation, web technologies, etc. at national academic events, conferences, webinars, and workshops. His areas of specialization include digitization and digital libraries, digital preservation, information retrieval systems, web technology, metadata and ontology, extensible markup language, you can say HTML, XML, going to semantic web, library automation, and he has also worked in his dissertations also on ISO certification and total quality management. And conservation and preservation of manuscript is also one of his areas of specialization. He has been awarded with Srimati A. Satyavati and Professor A. N. Raju as the Best Young LIS Teacher Award. He visited Germany under Digital Library Project of Goethe Institute, New Delhi, and during his visit to Germany, he also helped them in developing the digital library interface, German interface using DSpace. He also visited several countries, including Thailand, to attend various academic events. Not only he has taught the students of ADIS at DRTC Bangalore, but he has also taught the students of MA in Manuscriptology and Paleography. And he has also served as a guest faculty at Department of Journalism and Mass Communication in the area of ICT. He has guided several research scholars successfully, and currently many research scholars are pursuing PhD under his able guidance. At the BHU, he was also serving as coordinator training and placement cell, coordinator web committee, convener IQAC, convener choice based credit system, expert committee for online admission, expert committee for admission committee, member management and coordination committee for digitization, archival and retrieval of university records. He has developed many systems including BRAS, Saraswati, Sangya. They all deal with either information retrieval system or multilingual Sanskrit digital library, and also search software for Hindi, that is Sangya. And he has done dissertations on the areas which are very, very meaningful, relevant for the libraries, and they will remain forever relevant. That is TQM, Total Quality Management, and ISO certification, implementation of ISO certification for libraries. He has, to his credit, many, many international publications, national publications in international journals. He has also authored many books, including the book which has been published by Elsevier Chandos. He has written the e-content, that is open courseware, you can say, in many lessons in chapters in IGNOU, the lessons of PLIS and MLIS, and he has also worked with the National Mission of Education through ICT, NME ICT, under the InfimNet EPG Pathshala project, and he has authored several chapters there also. He has attended and convened and presented in many conferences, workshops, and seminars, and he has also been contributor of several organization of several events, and he is also member of professional bodies, for example, ISLE, and many other professional bodies. So by going through this CV, which is very, very comprehensive, I cannot actually reproduce all the things, but he is very gentle, he is very generous, humble, kind, down to earth, and a very nice professional and nice colleague. And with these words, I would like to thank again Professor Aditya Tripathi for enlightening us through his lecture, which we are very eagerly waiting to listen. Thank you, Professor Aditya.
Can I start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tripathi, for the generous introduction. At the outset, I thank Chairperson Professor Shiv Kumar, Dr. Rupak, and the colleagues of the department for inviting me to speak on the subject of my choice, okay, with the students and colleagues of the university. In fact, when I was asked to speak, I took a very old and primitive topic, okay, like knowledge management. In fact, many of you would be thinking, why knowledge management? Because mostly people expect me talking on technologies. But again, now, in fact, thinking about the audience and especially the students and the upcoming future of the profession, again, I feel that we need to relook in this area again, okay, because we have now surplus of technology around to deal with, and almost now I feel that the professionals who are coming up after the training from various schools of library science, they are very good at technology. In fact, many of them are better than us, the past generation, now I say myself. See, when I thought about knowledge management, in fact, it was the area which was taught or which was talked first when I was a student. Okay, and that time, in fact, I worked a little on this area, and had a little of concept on this area. And fortunately and unfortunately, I had some interaction with, some big giants of multinationals who were dealing with knowledge management. And many of my students, they are part of such knowledge management teams in many of these multinationals. In fact, what I collected with my introduction or my, discussions and all that with these teams who were in these companies, there is always a knowledge management team they have. Okay, and this knowledge management team is normally dominated by or led by a person from engineering background and management background. In fact, sometimes there are discussions in many of the circles, even in our library circles, whether this area belongs to library science or not. Okay. There are views. You can form your own views after this webinar or after my talk. You are free to form your views. I would be discussing my views and would be introducing you to some of the concepts of this area and how I look, okay, to the subject. It is completely, a very layman's approach which I look, a librarian's approach I look to the subject. Talking about knowledge management, if you see, it is in general a way of managing the all knowledge content of an organization. Okay. When I say organization doesn't mean a multinational or a company, a business house. An organization can be anything. Okay. It could be your university, it could be your institution where you are serving. It can be an academic institution. Of course, it can be, a government house. It can be a manufacturing unit. So when we use the word organization, it really doesn't restrict to any specific domain. Normally, my students who are working in these knowledge management teams, they are mostly in softwares. But, this whole subject, if you take, it is not restricted to softwares or something like that. It has a very vast area. And when you say managing the knowledge, you need to understand what management means. Okay. The basic idea of management is, getting your job done. That's it. So getting your job done with the existing knowledge, which is an asset for you within or outside the organization, is actually the forte of knowledge management. Okay. So when I say the knowledge within and outside organization. So, there is a very famous dialogue in that Three Idiots. ज्ञान सब जगह बट रहा है, खाली लेना चाहिए, you know. So it's there in you, around you. You have to collect. You have to siphon it out. You should know how to use the knowledge for the best of the results you can have. So, when you are talking about knowledge, there are two things I always tell which are important. One is content and other is container. So, knowledge has to be in some kind of container, or content has to be in some kind of container. And these containers are in documents, or these contents are within ourselves. Okay. So we both are, means documents, if you take, they are also content. We ourselves are also content, because we also pose a lot of knowledge within ourselves. Our colleagues have a lot of knowledge. The people who are working in your organization or your university, they have knowledge. And using these available knowledge in a cooperative manner to solve your problems, to improve your efficiency, is the basic thing we look forward when we talk about knowledge management. ऐसा नहीं है कि means knowledge management was not there before. It was always there. We were always handling the documents, we were always handling the knowledge, or we were always handling the content and the container both. Okay. But, post IT revolution, what I call, means in last 40 decades, 30 decades you take, this has come up as a subject, and a very important subject in these business houses, in these organizations which are, which have the establishments across the world. They have establishments in India, they have established multiple establishments within India. They may have multiple establishments across continents. Okay. So, in such scenario, this subject has become very important. So, ultimately, if you see, the objective of knowledge management is enhance your productivity. How good you manage the knowledge content within and outside your organization, so that you can improve your productivity. So, if Tata Motors have to have a knowledge management system in place, their productivity is to improve the vehicles, their productivity is to bring out new vehicles, their productivity is to make more profit. When we are talking about knowledge management in a government setup, the productivity is to give benefits to more number of people about various plans, policies, and prospects of government. When we are talking about productivity of our universities, we have the graduates from our universities. The number of graduates should increase, the quality of graduates should increase, the quality of the students should improve. The publications are the parameters over which our universities are evaluated. Okay, we are talking about NIRF or ये सब सारी चीज. There are parameters in general. So the parameters like publications and all that, we should improve upon these areas. And how good we can help in this direction. I'll take you back to the journey of, data, information, knowledge, or yes, almost we all have very clear idea. So data, any fact is a data. Almost, in fact, I call it as any meaningless fact is a data. Any meaningless fact is a data. So when you add a meaning, then it becomes something else. But as such, a fact is just a fact, it's a statement. Like Rama married Sita. It's a statement. Okay, it's a statement. But which Rama married which Sita, we do not know. Okay, so you have plain raw facts. I always call it as meaningless facts. But the moment you add some meaning or some context, the moment I say Rama married Sita, and you get to know that I am talking about Rama of Ramayana, Sita of Ramayana, it makes sense to you. But if I say Rama of my locality in Banaras and Sita of some other locality married, hardly makes any sense to you. Only you get to know that two entities are married, that's all, because you know the meaning of marriage. That's all. But the moment I say Rama married Sita, and you get to know the context that I am talking in connection with the epic Ramayana, it makes sense to you. Any new fact, when a context is added or a context is defined, is grasped, it becomes information for us. So now, I want to give you an idea. There are small blocks. When these blocks, if a block is a free entity, it is a data block of fact. Okay. When the block is studied under an environment, or it is viewed under an environment, the environment could be additional blocks. Okay, then it becomes information. When that block, which you call it as information, is added in a structure block or structured unit, it becomes knowledge. Okay, so when a fact is studied within a context, but it is free, it remains information. But the moment that information or the fact, the block of fact is attached in an existing structure of blocks, it becomes knowledge. Okay? So I'm trying to give you an idea, a pictorial view, how the things are transformed. And when you have this structure in your mind of a subject, your understanding you build on a subject. So it's a process of learning. You learn on a subject. Okay? You learn the subject. Because knowledge is just a kind of a structure you have with the blocks, a rigid structure or freely structure, whatever you call, but it's a structure, it's a concept map, it's a map of blocks. It is a map of facts, interrelated facts. That is knowledge. But when you use this knowledge or this concept map for reasoning, it becomes understanding. You try to understand how the blocks are attached, what is the relation of these blocks, what is the rule of these blocks. It's a kind of, you start doing a kind of analysis within your mind. And then you build an understanding on a subject. See, why I'm talking to you is this is very important area when we design an expert system. Okay? And when we are building a knowledge management system or knowledge-based system, you need to understand how this transformation takes place and what exactly happens. Okay. So you have a lot of interpolation when you build your understanding on a subject. There are a lot of interpolations. In the facts, you add new facts because you have created your own understanding of the subject. You may build your own rules. Okay? So a lot of interpolation will be there in your understanding. In your concept map, there will be a lot of interpolations. Okay? And this is the way we generate new knowledge. जब आप रिसर्च करते हैं या आप कोई काम करते हैं इस तरह का academic activity, when you do, what you are doing is you are creating new subject, you are creating new knowledge. And unless you have an understanding of the subject, you cannot do that. Okay? Then comes a very important aspect. What is your wisdom? Now, this is something machines cannot do for you. This is the difference, and this is the point where we find there is a difference between man and machine. We can build to some extent a kind of understanding within the machine. Okay? But I cannot build wisdom within a machine. I can create a chess program, an expert system, with all kinds of knowledge of how to play the chess. Okay? It can beat the world champion, world grandmaster. Such kind of expert system or such kind of program I can build. But it will not have the wisdom that a small kid, when it is playing with the program, in order to encourage the kid, it should lose. Okay. Whereas, when we play with the kids, we say, sometimes we knowingly we lose, but machine won't do it for you. Just we want to, encourage these young brats, young kids. We have our own wisdom, how to behave, how to see the things as right and wrong. This is not there in machine. Machine says yes and no. The reason for that is the machine works in a binary system. And when things are binary, you cannot have any intermediary in between. It will be either 0 or 1, it will be yes or no, it will be true or false, that's it. So, this is where I feel we as a human being come in picture. Well, when I was studying with these knowledge management systems or knowledge-based systems across these big organizations, normally they don't do much. What they create a huge database, and it is a searchable database. So any project, if it is done in these organizations, so when next time any project comes, they first go in their database and try to find out whether such kind of project is already done or not, and who were the people involved in that. And then based on that, problem is solved. If already it is done, they don't have to redo the process. So if this job can be done by a person, by a team of some data entry operators, why we require a kind of, management guy from IIM or engineering guy from IIT to be the part of such kind of team? The reason was that the word wisdom is not there in the machine. Okay. I'll bring you to this story. The wisdom is very powerful thing. You all would have remembered the story of, Ashwasthama. At the end of the war, when he hits the Pandavas, when he confronts them with a Brahmastra, okay, saying that all the Pandavas should die. They must die. The hind, okay, the hind, what he used was a data, just one hind. The hind of Brahmastra, any hind is a data. The hind of Brahmastra was information. The hind of Brahmastra learnt by a warrior is his knowledge. But how to use, where to use, was his wisdom, where Ashwasthama failed. So he had all three. He had knowledge, he had understanding, but wisdom was not there, which made Ashwasthama, a cursed person, a cursed character in our myth, in our mythology. Okay? So this is the power of wisdom. Okay? So, there is a, connectivity between data, information, and wisdom. And the striking thing which you need to look into this graph, this is taken from web source. Okay. The striking thing which you need to see is the kind of relation between data, information, and knowledge. Okay. When knowledge is used as wisdom, you understand the principles of knowledge, and then it becomes wisdom, pure wisdom, which is on top of the pyramid. when we're talking about knowledge in general, you all would have studied, you have tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Tacit, which is normally said it is untouchable, which cannot be touched. I can give you an example of Buddha. You know, when Buddha was in meditation, he had all tacit knowledge. He had all tacit knowledge. So when he was in meditation, his knowledge was subjective because he was continuously analyzing, or he was trying to learn from his experiences, which was not accessible to others. It was not expressed. Okay? It was completely his mental setup, his cognitive setup, or his mental status, which could reflect his tacit, his knowledge, not tacit knowledge, his knowledge, which was inaccessible to others. Okay. Now, if I ask you, can you define the sweetness? We all know sweetness. We all know sweet. We all know sour. But if I ask you, can you define what is sweet? What is sour? What is bitter? We all know, isn't it? Can you put in words the exact feeling of sweetness and sourness? It's very difficult. Okay. The language has its own limitations. Few things you cannot formalize. Okay. Another example I can give you, we go to doctors normally, and especially I give you example of surgeons. Okay, surgeons and tailors, both. You know, a surgeon, they all are graduates, medical graduates. Tailors, they all have good skill of making your clothes. But you go to a particular surgeon, you say, he is very good, his hand is very good. Similarly, you go to your, favorite tailor. This guy gives perfect fitting. What is this perfection? What is this good hand? They both are taught in school. Okay. A surgeon is taught in medical college. Same teacher has taught all the batch. But few guys come out, as a very good surgeon, but they may not be a very good in their academics, maybe. Okay. The gold medalist would be somebody else, but a good surgeon is somebody else. It's just hand. And this, using your hand or a hand of a surgeon, cannot be taught by any teacher. This is your experience, your inherent knowledge, and you cannot express damn thing to anybody. This is what is tacit. But the moment Buddha summoned his 5 disciples in Sarnath, his knowledge became explicit. Okay. The moment he expressed in concrete words, which was objective. Okay. He used a medium to teach people. There was lack of ambiguity. There was lack of ambiguity. Because if some teacher, if he give you ambiguous, information, it won't help. So when you are teaching somebody, it it has to be non-ambiguous, perfect. What I'm trying to tell you, same should be communicated to you. Okay? And normally, as a librarian, we all are working with this kind of knowledge, explicit knowledge. Apart from that, there are few more types. One is externalized knowledge. Okay. One is migratory, and other one is multi-location. When I say externalized, that means from tacit to explicit. Okay, the knowledge is reflected. Your tacit knowledge is reflected in explicit knowledge, like a painting of a person. What I have imagination in my mind, I am trying to paint it. Now it is externalized. Sculpturing, architecture, these all are kind of externalized, a kind of transformation you would see, a kind of a dynamism in this kind of knowledge you would see. You can still classify. The moment it becomes photograph, you will say it is explicit. If it is inside, it is tacit. Yes, you are correct. But it is a kind of transformatory knowledge. Okay, a kind of transformation is there of your ideas. Migratory is like you coded your data and you are transferring over network. That is migratory. So normally these are signals. Okay, we are transferring the data or information over a network, or I am codifying my feelings in a language. Okay, मैं कोई भाषा use कर रहा हूँ, Hindi or English, and I am trying to communicate to you. This is also kind of the time it is migrating from me to you. It is migratory knowledge. Okay. Then you have multi-location knowledge. The knowledge is tacit, explicit, and distributed at many places. It's not in one place. Okay. Not within your organization, or means it could be some part of the knowledge can be within your organization, some part of knowledge can be outside your organization. So it's a kind of a mix and match kind of thing, but not in one place you can say that I have a complete information. Now, how to deal with this kind of environment? How to deal with knowledge management? Create a repository and give people the access. When you create a repository, store the information, store the knowledge, okay, and give access. That's it. बड़ा आसान है. It's very simple. कि आप एक repository बनाएं, you store all the knowledge you have in your organization and make it accessible. But it is not that easy in practice. Because whatever you have stored, it must reflect all kinds of knowledge within your institution or available in your institution. And the biggest problem is how you would record knowledge I have within me. That's the biggest challenge of knowledge management. And this is where I feel we have our own limitation as a library. It's very difficult to pull out what somebody is thinking or what subject someone has, or you can externalize whatever the understanding one has. It's very difficult. But if you could create such kind of system within your organization, it will be very helpful for the people within your organization. चाहे वो आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी हो, चाहे वो एक बिजनेस हाउस हो. Now, as a library sciences students, many of you would be working on many subjects, many subject areas. And I tell you, one of the biggest challenge I feel personally when it comes to use statistics. जब स्टैटिस्टिक्स यूज करना होता है तो मेरी हालत खराब हो जाती है. आई वाज नेवर अ गुड स्टूडेंट ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स. In fact, normally people say those who are good at computers, they are good with mathematics. You know, I am exactly different, opposite. But again, I'm not an expert of statistics. So I have problem. Okay, I know what is problem, what is the solution, but I do not know how to analyze. Means I know what data I should collect, but I don't know how to do the analysis, how to prove my point statistically. I need somebody within organization. BHU बहुत बड़ा यूनिवर्सिटी, आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी बहुत बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटी है. You need to know the right person जिसके पास आप जा सको. Do you have a kind of a database in your university? Does BHU have? We don't have. We never thought in this direction in our universities. Why, I do not know. But this is one aspect we need to look into within our universities, how to use knowledge management. In the government houses, when a plan comes, who all are the people I should involve in my project? Unless I will have a database of the expertise of the people, I do not know whom to pick up, how to pick up. Can I have a database of such kind of system? So things are very easy, on the face of it. You create a repository, put the data in and do the search, that's it. But when it comes in practice, it becomes very difficult. You want people to share information. As a student, हम लोग तो अपने notes नहीं share करते. In fact, I know many of the researchers, they don't share their data. The reasons best known to them. Probably data is not correct, or there is some problem with the data or something like that. Or they don't want to share, they don't want others to work on same data and come up with something else. So sharing is the biggest problem. कोई share नहीं करना चाहता. Okay. And this culture has to be there. I can cite you an example from softwares. You would see the softwares which are open source and free, which are there in public domain. Growth of those softwares are much faster than commercial ones. One of the example is Linux operating system. You have, thousands of flavors of Linux because it is an open source and freely available OS. If you want, you can build your own flavor of Linux. So the moment you share, development will be more fast. You will have better decision making capability. Okay, and it brings a kind of economy for you. So the moment I say sharing, it is equally true in business houses. It is equally true in government sector. It is equally true in R&D. I can cite a very good example of sharing of information within your day-to-day life. अगर आप जाते हो तो you would see on sometimes this municipal guys come and they dig up. Other day that water fellow will come and he will dig up. Next the telephone fellow will come and he will dig up. If it is a coordinated effort, in one digging all the job can be done. And ultimately, this so many of digging, what happens at the end of the day? When we ride on the bike or something, or we walk on the road, we get lot of thokers and we fall down and we hit ourselves, we hurt ourselves. So one of the biggest example of sharing of information is this. So ऐसा नहीं है कि it's only in business houses and all that. And research R&D खाली हमारे institution में, it's not true. It has to be there across. But the biggest trouble is people are resistant of sharing. The reason is they feel that information is power. If I know something and Dr. Shiv Kumar, if he doesn't know the same facts, same information, I feel that I will be on advantage. Or Dr. Rupak, if he has some extra information about something compared to both of us, he will be at a different level. But things together, if we all share together, we may come up with something new. This is what is the, it's a cultural difference. It is a cultural difficulty. And, this is the reason we have bad decision makings in our any efforts. You have a lot of tools available for giving access to information. You have network, you have internet, you have DBMS. So see, access to information is no more an issue. Okay. Only thing is making it available is very important. And it brings up economy. Okay, because see, same kind of work or duplication of work can be avoided. And this is the reason I tell you these all business houses have a knowledge management team, because they want to avoid duplication of work. चाहे वो Infosys हो, चाहे वो आपकी TCS हो, they all have very powerful knowledge management team. And in these knowledge management team, they have management guys, they have IT guys, DBMS guys, they have web technology guys, they have librarians. वो भी है इनकी टीम में. And these guys are highly paid. In fact, जो IT के एक्सपर्ट हैं उनसे ज्यादा पेमेंट इन बंदों को मिलती at many places. Okay. Because they save a lot of money for the organization. Not only that, when they have the facts in their hand, they help the management in taking decisions. They add value to the information or value to the data by data cleaning, analytics, additional analytics. Okay, coming out with new services in anticipation or on demand. So a lot of value additions they can do. They can come out with a lot of statistics, additional statistics about the organization, about the staff productivity, about the organizational productivity. So now you see, when I'm talking about knowledge management, it is a little bit more than what we do in library. What we deal with is with explicit knowledge. Okay, we use technology, but what we deal with is the container and the content within that container, tangible container. Okay, when I say container, what I mean is the books, the digital resources, आज की तारीख में. But the moment I say knowledge management, it starts not dealing with the explicit knowledge of information management. It starts dealing with the management of people, management of knowledge within the people. Okay, what you call as tacit knowledge. It is about the organization, it is about the organizational culture. It is about the communication, it is about enhancing the sharing of knowledge within the organization. So knowledge management is a kind of a team effort. आप कहेंगे नहीं हमारा भी तो काम इंफॉर्मेशन मैनेजमेंट का टीम एफर्ट है. यस ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव अ बिग टीम, you have infrastructure involved, everything. But when we are talking about knowledge management, some managerial skill is also used, because ultimately it is management. Okay, and the clear definition of management, what is for me, is getting your job done. And when I say getting your job done, it could be hook or crook, but I should get my job done. Okay, so when it is knowledge management, it is little more than what information management is. You have tools are readily available, आपके पास सारे tools हैं. You have all ICT infrastructure at your disposal. You have multiple DBMS systems, proprietary and non-proprietary. You have services. You have groupwares. हम लोग बैठ कर क्या Zoom पे और Google मीटिंग कर रहे हैं. In fact, probably 3-4 years before, I had never used. Last 2 years we started using it rigorously, so that today kids are using. KG1 का बच्चा अभी kindergarten का, he is also using. If you ask how to run Zoom or Google Meet, he is better than many of us sometimes. You have data warehouses. These data warehouses are, a platform where many, databases, data sources are integrated. They are sources of information. They are platform for information. And for that, two things are very important. First is data structure, standardization in the data structure. Okay. And second thing is interoperability. If two databases are to work in a harmonious manner, they both should speak same language. They should have same structure. They should be interoperable, even if they are handled by one platform. Okay. So data structuring and interoperability still remains very important research area in knowledge management. How to represent knowledge? Knowledge representation itself is a very big area. Very big area. How to represent knowledge? How to structure knowledge? Itself is a challenging area of research. Of course, you can scan how to create new knowledge. You can scan, you can mine the data using analytics. You can use simulation studies, experimentation. You can have content analysis, which is syntactic or semantic. But again, here we have also some limitations. Simulation we cannot do as librarian. Yes, we can scan the environment, we can scan the component. Data mining analytics is difficult for us. Syntactic content analysis we can do, but semantic content analysis is difficult. Semantic content analysis is damn difficult for machines to do. Okay. But you require experts again in these areas. Now, the basic idea of knowledge management is to share. How do you share? There are four best methods or four methods. After action review, that means something happens, then you sit and review what was attempted, what we have achieved, and how we have achieved. Can we would have done better? Okay, these are some questions if you sit and answer. And unless you sit together, you cannot do it. Okay. You need to build sharing. You have to build the platforms for sharing. How people share. You will have to set some kind of benchmarks. You call people together and then let them discuss. Engage them together. Then you will have a new practice. When you engage people, it's not that you just engage them and forget about it. When you engage them, record what they are doing, how they are doing. Because each action of this engagement itself is a piece of knowledge. Okay? Ask people to tell their experience, share their experience, capture it. These are four methods of knowledge management. The techniques, you need to harvest whatever is available. And when you have to harvest, you have to identify the nodes where the knowledge is there, where expertise is there. Then you have to make them express their views. Okay? And then only you can harvest. Unless it is expressed, you cannot harvest. मेरे दिमाग से जब बाहर निकलेगी चीजें किसी फॉर्म में, whether it is a lecture or in form of a book or in a form of my action, then only you can harvest. Otherwise, you cannot harvest. You need to audit within your organization. कहाँ आपके पास knowledge stored है? I tell you, in educational institutes, we don't have any such method. We don't have such method of knowledge auditing. पता नहीं है. Being librarians, we do not know really what is the expertise of which guy within our institute. In our institute, probably in your university, a lot of teachers are there. I don't know whether they are mapped, whether their expertise is mapped. The moment I say mapping, mapping means the source you have to record, his position you have to record, his location you have to record, his content also you have to record, the kind of content he or she has. That also you should record. Then you can identify who is the best statistician to help you in your research work within an institute, within your institute. Otherwise, it is very difficult. बेसियन एनालिसिस पे काम करना मुझे पता नहीं है कौन बंदा है जो बेसियन में काम करता है. I do not know who is the guy in the chemistry department who works on beta lactams. It's a medicinal compound. Or who are the guys who has the knowledge about this medicinal compound. So the mapping of knowledge is very important. Okay. So these 3 steps are very important. Normally you go in any book or anything, they talk with you or they will tell you that these are the 3 pillars: technology, people, and process. Yes, of course, people, process, these both are important. Technology is important. These all 3 are important pillars and they work in coherence. Then you say that I can achieve knowledge management. The whole cycle of knowledge management has, many stages. When we sit together, we discuss, we socialize, we learn. The group learns. The group gains an experience. When that is expressed in some form or format, it is externalized. Then it is transformed from tacit to explicit in the next level. Okay. When you have one form of exposition of knowledge, different people learn or different products of that format comes out. Okay. Or same exposition of knowledge or expressed knowledge may be used in different products. So you may have a lot of combinations. अब गूगल मैप अगर आप देखेंगे तो गूगल मैप आज लाखों एप्लीकेशंस हैं गूगल मैप के. गूगल मैप इज सेम. It is an explicit piece of knowledge, but there are a lot of applications we have of Google Map today. Okay. So a lot of combinations you would see, जिनको आप derivatives कह सकते हैं, you can call it as value addition, that all is there. And again it is internalized because somebody studies it, tries to understand, tries to learn. Okay, so understanding of knowledge takes place in this stage from explicit to implicit. There are 4 steps of knowledge management. The typical library science के steps हैं. If you take create and capture, organize and codify, refine and disseminate. So at least 3 of it is exclusively we can handle. Create and capture. Creation तो नहीं लेकिन capture we can do. Organize and codify we do. And dissemination we do. We can help in refining towards establishing some kind of collaboration. That's it. Okay. So out of 4, 3 we can easily do. Now you take each one. When we take as an individual, like data entry, yes, we can do. Scanning, we can do. Voice recording, we can do. You can interview, you can record a brainstorm. Okay, so normally what happens, the primary knowledge, the tacit knowledge, we can capture in the library. You call people, ask them to sit and do the brainstorming, record the brainstorming, record their lectures. Okay, keep it in library. This job can be done by the library. Cataloging, indexing, filtering, and codifying, pure our job. Okay, a librarian can do this job. Whether any object is given to you, you can classify, index. आप उसको क्लासिफाई कर सकते हैं, आप उसको इंडेक्स कर सकते हैं. Refining is difficult. It is a managerial job, because here you require some other techniques, some additional techniques, because you are trying to identify patterns, you are trying to, come out with new piece of knowledge. Okay, you are trying to come out with some kind of projections. You are trying to compress the knowledge such that it should not lose its importance. इसीलिए abstracting is normally, it is not the cup of tea of librarian. ये कहा जाता है compacting. It is compacting. Unless I know the subject, I cannot abstract. तो abstracting के लिए subject expert होना, it is very important. So normally this is the area I find that we cannot efficiently handle, or in fact we cannot handle at all. Of course, dissemination is our forte. How the information or the knowledge has to flow, how it should be shared. You can come out with services in anticipation or on demand. You can come out with alert services. This is a general schematic diagram of a knowledge management system, and if you see, the base is, it is your knowledge base is the center node. All kinds of information or the knowledge of your organization is there on this central hub, and any kind of input has to be done within this, and any kind of use, okay, whether it is within your organization or whether you are coming out as a product, has to be from this knowledge base. Okay, so if you see any internal procedure, you are using this knowledge base. For any internal procedure, the input is back to the knowledge base. If you are coming out with a product for your customers, okay, the customers give you feedback, and again you redesign, and the data goes to your knowledge base. So your central hub or central point in any organizational knowledge based system or knowledge management system is your knowledge base. The richer your knowledge base, better you will have the service. Richer doesn't mean the amount it has. Apart from amount, you should have a very good structuring. When you are talking about structuring, your ontology comes in picture. Your knowledge representation comes in picture. Your, metadata comes in picture. Okay. Your technology comes in picture. How you would scale your knowledge base, that is also very important in this scenario. Then there are, of course, certain hurdles And the biggest hurdle I feel out of, I have listed some six of it, but the biggest hurdle, if you ask me, are two. One is culture, okay, because people don't want to share. And another one is the technological obsolescence. Okay. You know, tools which you are using, they also get very easily obsolete. Apart from that, your information also gets obsolete, because sometimes what happens, some information, the moment it comes up, it has to be used. It's like a bubble. It has to be used. If you don't use it, it is of no use afterwards. Okay. So these two, I feel, are very important hurdle in any kind of a system. Of course, overloading of information, structuring, intellectual capital, these all are there. But these could be overcome. But culture is very difficult to change. Obsolescence of information is very difficult to handle for me. Anyway, at the end, we are in a new environment, new framework, new system where the very products which we are dealing, they are changing. Of course, we have the old methods of creation of knowledge like discussion, research, creativity, performance, everything. But the tool, the infrastructure we are using is now, it is digital, and the outcome is also changed now. We are having multimodal objects today. We are having multimodal learning, the way people are using these objects. Because, see, earlier we used to read only books. Today, in fact, if there is a topic, you go to YouTube and find out a lecture. We are more interested in demonstrations now today. If somebody can demo, it is much better for me, much better learning experience for me. So, the object has changed, the learning object has changed. Okay. The method I communicate, that has changed. The whole ecosystem has changed. Your publishing has changed. Today you are publishing, the moment I am speaking with you, you can immediately publish this lecture. Parallelly, you can publish this lecture on YouTube. So contemporary publishing is there. So whole environment has changed, and therefore I always feel that the system of knowledge management has to be relooked by the librarians, because the environment has changed. The products we are dealing, that has changed now. Our users have changed. Okay. So in this environment, I feel that knowledge management, what we used to have, means what we used to talk 20 years before, is in principle it is same, but the methodology or the procedure we are using today has changed. It's like moving from a blackboard classroom teaching to moving to this IT-based teaching. The environment has changed in such a way, even in knowledge management, and the librarian should look back that how they can incorporate this knowledge management in this new area. Okay. With this remark, I once again thank the authorities of the department and the university that they have given me an opportunity for sharing my experience with the August gathering. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would love to take if there is any comment or any additional explanation is required.
Yes, thank you, sir, for enriching all of us with your valuable insights on knowledge management and its related aspects. It was indeed a very thought-provoking and nice presentation. Sir, I have a couple of questions. I will take one by one now. The first one is, how can libraries improve their library services through knowledge management?
Okay, yeah. That's a very interesting question. In fact, this is what I was trying to talk during whole of my lecture. See, normally what we do is we restrict ourselves with the available literature on a subject within an organization. And when I'm talking about librarian, my target is like the academic library we work in. Okay, most of us. So what we deal normally is with the available literature. But now today, things have gone much beyond the available literature. You need to map the people also within your organization. You need to map the people across your organization. Okay, it's not that we were not doing that. Reference service and referral services were there, but today when we are talking about a knowledge management, you have to take it as a a concrete service, and then you have to create a database of people around who can be helpful within your institution, who can be helpful to your researchers within your organization. So this is one aspect I'm talking about. Likewise, if you go, there could be many things. Okay. In fact, one of the biggest difficulty nowadays we are feeling is about authenticity of information. Okay. So whether I am getting information, it is an authentic information or not. So can we do as a librarian something on this area? Yeah, agar if some information is going from a librarian's platform, it has to be accepted as authentic information. Okay. So something like that. So there are many avenues. We need to open means we need to look the things with an open eyes and open mindset. काम बहुत है करने वाला होना चाहिए. That's it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So second question is, knowledge management and information management, both are same terms or different?
Oh, both are different. That is why I draw the difference. वो students के point of view से मैंने slide बनाई थी. If some students would be there, so at least they should have a very clear picture. Information management is normally dealing with the explicit knowledge, whatever is explicit. But when it comes to knowledge management, उसमें explicit के साथ साथ you are going to deal with the people also. The information which is not expressed, which is not available in any specific format, which is still there in the living containers. Okay, मतलब अगर human being को आप मुझे आप कहें कि define करिए तो I would call them as living containers. तो जो human या living containers के अंदर information है, that handling also is very important. And you know, it is very difficult to handle people. Handling people is very difficult. That is another a very important forte of knowledge management. So that is the basic difference I draw between information management and knowledge management.
Okay, sir. So there is one question from participant. I'm working on a topic of case study of Panjab University Publication House Patiala. How can knowledge management help me in my project?
Case study of
Panjab University Publication House Patiala.
Okay. Huh.
How knowledge management can help me in my project?
I think the person who has means the person is working with mostly with the publications. The moment you call something as publication, it becomes an explicit knowledge. Okay. So mostly when he is working with explicit knowledge, he has to adopt the traditional or conventional techniques of handling it. Now, what kind of a study or what kind of objectives he has laid for his study, his techniques and his methodology depends on that. So based on that, he should decide how he is handling it. But certainly, he is not going to deal with the tacit knowledge.
Okay, sir. Sir, there are no more questions now. Thank you, sir. I would request Dr. Khushpreet Singh Parad, a co-coordinator of today's webinar, to present vote of thanks.
Thank you, Simran. First of all, I thank Professor Aditya Tripathi, Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Banraras University, for acceding our request to deliver this very informative and interesting talk on the topic of knowledge management and librarianship. Sir, you have elaborated the difference between data, information, understanding, and knowledge with the help of examples from our rich history. You also highlighted the need of use of knowledge within institute. You covered all the important aspects of knowledge management, including need of knowledge management, tools of knowledge management, process of knowledge management, barriers of knowledge management, and the examples you have quoted in your talk were very interesting and helpful in understanding the concept. Thank you very much, sir, for this very informative talk. I also thank our worthy Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Rajkumar ji, and other competent authorities for allowing us as well as motivating us to organize this webinar in the chain of Azaadi ke Amrut Mahotsav event. I also thank all the participants for joining us. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you.
Sir, we are enlightened with your lecture. We have learned a lot. Sir, we have some
Example of knowledge management itself, knowledge management.
or sir, you have given live example of day-to-day activity in daily life.
Very good, excellent examples.
Actually, there is nothing new. Only thing is things are around us. We have to perceive it. That's it. That's
Sir,
what I feel.
what we see around us, then we bring into example with knowledge management. That is more important. We learn more.
That only makes more difference.
So,
Makes difference with the students at least. Anyway, thanks a lot.
sir, we have heard about you a lot, but it is today. We have you live. It has been proved today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was pleasure talking to all of you.
Yes.
Okay then. Yeah.